Blackstone Audio presents Winter of Secrets by Vicki Delany. For all the people in Nelson, too numerous to mention, who make me feel so welcome, you know who you are. Chapter 1. They don't often get big snowstorms in the Kootenay area of British Columbia. Lots of snow, that's a given. Sometimes the air is so full of snow that the daytime is as white as the night is black. But there isn't much wind in these mountains, and the snow falls thick and fast and straight down, where it lies deep on the ground. The word whiteout, meaning when high winds whip falling snow around, reducing visibility to nothing, isn't often heard in Trafalgar. Tonight, it would be. It was Christmas Eve, and as Constable Molly Smith began a 12-hour shift, the storm of the decade was settling in over Trafalgar. She'd scarcely had time to say hi to the earlier shift, the lucky ones who got to enjoy the evening with their families, before the first 911 call came in. The first of what would be many. Pedestrians struck by a car on Front Street appear to be injuries. Smith reached for the keys to the truck, but she wasn't fast enough. "I'll drive," Constable Dave Evans said, tossing the keys in his hand and heading toward the back door and the parked vehicles. "You'll be with Evans tonight," Sergeant Caldwell, the shift supervisor, shouted after her. "It's going to be rough in this, and it's supposed to get worse." Grumbling under her breath, Smith climbed into the passenger seat. Evans flicked on the wipers to get rid of the snow that accumulated since the vehicle had been parked, which hadn't been long. The truck had turned in as she'd walked up the steps to the station. Caldwell's prediction came all too true, and Smith and Evans spent their Christmas Eve running from one call to another. Cars in the ditch, cars spinning out of control in the middle of the highway, pedestrians slipping and sliding all over the place, holiday revelers who'd started into the Christmas cheer a bit too early and too heavily, but thought they could still drive. In late December, in a town surrounded by mountains, it was dark before 4:30. The night was a strange shade of shifting white, as the lights of cars and homes and street lamps reflected off snow cutting through the black sky in near horizontal slashes. The snow was blinding. There were times when Smith could barely see the front of the truck as they drove. The radio crackled with activity. Everyone was out, and even Caldwell had grabbed a car and was answering calls. A few minutes before midnight, they were called to an accident on Cottonwood Street. Smith and Evans arrived to find a fender-bender, two vehicles, a top-of-the-line fully loaded SUV, and a rusty old van, had met in the middle of the road. Not hard to do, as drifts of snow had reduced the road, one of the steepest in a town built on the side of a mountain, to a one-lane track. When the police arrived, blue and red lights reflecting off falling snow like manic Christmas decorations, the drivers were standing in the road, inches apart, screaming in each other's faces. Additional yelling came from the ditch, and Smith could see two women on the far side of the cars waving arms. Wide-eyed children peered through icy windows of the SUV. Cars began lining up in both directions, horns honking as drivers leaned out of windows. Evans glanced at the clock on the dashboard. "Merry Christmas, Molly," he said. It was 1 minute past midnight. "Let's go spread some seasonal cheer," she replied. It was a battle just to get the truck door open, but she proved to be stronger than the storm. Snow and wind hit her full in the face. If it were possible, the power of the blizzard seemed to be increasing. Without discussion, Evans approached the arguing men, and Smith walked around the cars. The two women stopped fighting at the sight of the police officer trying to keep her footing in the calf-high drifts lining the road. "What's going on here?" Whereupon the women resumed screaming at each other and at Smith. She wanted to ask them what had happened to their Christmas spirit. Instead, she flashed a light into the back of the SUV. Two small, round, white faces looked back at her.